This week, the buzz in Detroit is absolutely electric. First up, we've got the huge concern about Kirby Joseph, who might be sidelined again. Then, even the kicking game has become a massive topic, with a heavy debate about the strength of kickers. And if that wasn't enough, there are trade rumors swirling around an expensive cornerback, plus some piping hot news on the practice squad. Seriously, hold on to your hats, because the last bit is explosive. But before we dive into every single detail of this intense Lions talk, let me ask you one quick thing. Hit that subscribe button. It's free, it costs you nothing, and it totally fuels this fan conversation. Drop a like too, because that way YouTube pushes this chat out to more Lions fans across the globe. And comment below, because this space is ours, the One Pride faithful. The tension was palpable when the practice report dropped. Kirby Joseph, our starting safety, was a no-show for the second straight time. And look, that messes with the collective fan mind. The guy has been an absolute linchpin on this defense, consistently bringing energy and aggression to the deep field. But this recurring knee issue, which has been hanging around since training camp, is making everyone uneasy. Against the Browns, he tried to come back after missing time, but he just didn't look 100%. And now, right before a huge matchup against the Bengals, he might not be ready. Tough pill to swallow, right? Avonte Maddox stepped up last time he was called upon. He's a veteran, he knows how to handle the pressure, and that gives you a little peace of mind. But let's be real, it's not the same. Kirby has that instinct that changes the rhythm of a game. We've seen it time and again when he presses the coverage and forces opposing quarterbacks to try risky throws. You don't find a player like that every day. Coach Dan Campbell explained this philosophy perfectly. He said when the secondary plays tight with man-to-man coverage, it buys the pass rush an extra second, and a second in football is an eternity. That can turn into a sack, a fumble, an interception, and it's exactly that style that has earned this defense respect. The problem is, without Kirby, the machine is missing a crucial gear. And he's not the only one. The absence list on Thursday also included Taylor Decker, Sion Vaki, and Zach Cunningham. That's enough to make anyone pull their hair out. Thankfully, Khalil Dorsey is back after his concussion, because our secondary depth is already paper thin. Even Alex Anzalone, our linebacker, publicly mentioned that the group's depth is good, but you can feel that man, we need everyone healthy vibe. To be straight with you, I'm torn. On one hand, I trust Maddox and the next man up mentality that Campbell preaches so hard. On the other, I know facing Cincinnati without Joseph is giving Burrow ammunition to test us deep. And if there's one thing the Lions can't do, it's give the opponent momentum for free. We're talking like fans here, so I'll throw the question out. Comment below if you think Maddox can hold it down or if Joseph's absence could cost us big. I gotta admit, I've got butterflies because the secondary could be the difference maker. And hang on, because if that news got your heart racing, wait until you hear the next one. It involves controversy, a long boot, and even a Barry Bonds comparison. You will not believe this. Check out this crazy controversy they've cooked up now. Vic Fangio, the Eagles' defensive coordinator, dropped a comparison that left everyone slack-jawed. He said that today's NFL kicks need an asterisk, just like that era of monstrous baseball hitting with Bonds, McGuire, and Sosa. According to him, a change in how the kicking balls are prepared has made field goals easier, almost unfair. Man, all he needed to say was that the ball has a microchip inside. And the numbers don't lie. This year, we've already seen a ton of 50-plus yard kicks sail through with ease. Fangio went further. He claimed that someone this season is going to try a 70-yard kick and make it. And not a preseason boot either. He said it would be in a regular season game. For him, it's a matter of time. You know that bar talk that turns into a conspiracy theory? Well, it became a press conference. The explanation he gave was that before, each team only got 3 new kicking balls right before the game. Now, teams have access to 60 balls to work with all season long, allowing them to break them in, adjust them, and practice with them. According to Fangio, this has completely changed the game. He believes kickers have an advantage they've never had. But then you have Dave Phipp, our special teams coordinator in Detroit. He wants nothing to do with this drama. For him, the impact exists, but it's minimal. Phipp was direct. It makes headlines, it's fun to talk about, but in practice, it changes very little. He pointed out that the Lions have always paid enormous attention to ball preparation. If you're already doing it right, the difference is almost negligible. What truly matters, he says, is that today's kickers have much stronger legs and coaches are showing more trust. And look, I agree with him. Because if it were just the ball, everyone would be kicking 65-yarders. But that's not the case. Some kickers can't even come close. The reality is that the guys are more athletic, better trained, and the coaches are bolder. That's why we're seeing attempt after attempt from deep. Who can forget that kick that almost brought down Ford Field with how loud it was? To be honest with you guys, I find this kind of debate funny. We root for the Lions. We've suffered so much with missed kicks and clutch moments, and now we have this asterisk discussion. I don't care about the ball. I care about whether the kicker puts it through the uprights when we need him to. Simple as that. So, what do you think? Do you side with FIP or with Fangio? Comment below. I want to hear from the fans. Now, if this gave you food for thought, brace yourself for the next one. It's about a potential major addition to fix the secondary. Now that's when things really heat up. After the win against the Browns, a lot of people celebrated, but they also had that lingering feeling of unease. The defense took some big hits, and the alarm is ringing. Terrion Arnold and DJ Reed left the field injured, and that worried the fan base sick. Reed in particular was carted off, and Dan Campbell has already warned us he might be out for a while. It's not season-ending, but we'll be without him for a period, the coach said. That's tough to hear, especially with the Bengals knocking at the door. And that's where the rumor mill kicks in. Some reporters are suggesting the Lions could look for an external boost, and it's not just some random name. Jeff Risdon from Lions Wire floated the idea of bringing in Greg Newsome, the Browns cornerback who's playing on the 5th year of his contract, valued at $13 million. It would be a luxury rental, a guy to lock things down during the Super Bowl run. Now hold on. It's not that simple. Newsome is good in coverage, he has talent, but he also has an injury history. He's never played a full season without missing at least 3 games. Plus, the guy isn't known for being physical against the run. Stats show his run defense grade is only average, with too many missed tackles. In other words, he would be an interesting addition but not perfect. On the Lions side, trade resources aren't unlimited. The team doesn't have a 3rd-round pick in 2026 already spent on other moves. They would have to use picks from other rounds or even creative packages to convince Cleveland, and they'd have to compete against other interested teams because there's always competition when a player of that caliber becomes available. To be honest with you, I'm torn again. It's tempting to think about bringing in a talent like Newsome. Imagine putting him in the rotation with Sutton, Arnold, when he returns, and Maddox. It would be an immediate boost. But at the same time, Campbell has made it clear that he trusts the next man up. He repeated in the press conference that the team's standard is to prepare everyone since training camp precisely to avoid a sharp drop-off in performance. And honestly, that philosophy has paid off. But let's talk like fans in the stands. People are demanding action. They look at the schedule and see Burrow, Mahomes, maybe even a conference final on the horizon. Then they ask, can we go all the way just improvising in the secondary? Female fans are also pushing for this, because everyone knows that a championship can be won or lost in the details. And this is where I throw it to you. Is it worth paying a high price for a risky reinforcement, or do we stick it out with the Detroit grit mentality? Comment below because this debate is going to last. And if you thought this news was hot, hold tight, because the next one is even more unexpected. A guy is coming back from the UFL straight to the Lions practice squad. And in the middle of so much uncertainty in the secondary, the Lions made a move. They brought Nick Whiteside back to the practice squad. Yes, the same guy who played in the UFL for the Battlehawks and who had already made a good impression in the preseason here in Detroit. It's the kind of move that might seem low-key, but deep down, it shows the franchise's intelligence in not leaving the defense vulnerable. Whiteside isn't a headline name. He's not a superstar, but look at his UFL numbers. 17 tackles, 3 passes defended, 5 games as a starter. He finished with very solid PFF grades, both in coverage and pass defense. And even better, when tested, he allowed less than a 50% completion rate. That's not nothing, especially playing against receivers trying to prove themselves and earn an NFL spot. In the preseason with the Lions, he also showed what he could do. He had 11 tackles and 2 passes defended in 4 games. Nothing extraordinary, but enough to make the fans curious. The issue was that last game against Houston, where he ended up getting torched several times, giving up almost 100 yards in receptions. That pretty much sealed his cut. But now, with so many guys on the injured list, the door has opened again. To be honest with you, I like this kind of gamble. Because it's cheap, it adds depth, and it keeps the Detroit grit spirit alive. Whiteside is local, from Saginaw Valley State, and he knows the weight of wearing Honolulu blue, and the Lions have a history of giving a chance to guys coming from the UFL, as they did with Jacob Sailors, so you can't rule out the possibility of him moving up to the main roster at some point. Of course, he's not coming in to be a savior, he's not an immediate replacement for Reed or Arnold, but he can earn snaps in the rotation, contribute on special teams, and fit in as another piece of a defense that needs to be at its physical and mental limit. And honestly, the true fan knows that sometimes it's these secondary names that change a clutch game. Who remembers backups turning into improbable heroes in historic matchups? The NFL is full of those stories, and it's worth highlighting. This move also shows that the front office is paying attention. They didn't just wait for injured players to heal, nor did they jump headfirst into expensive trades. They sought a balance, adding a low-cost piece with the potential to help fast. It's a clear message. No one is slowing down, the team is in total prep mode for what's ahead. So, do you think Whiteside can surprise us and become a permanent fixture on the roster? Comment below, because I want to gauge the feeling of the crowd. And hold on, because in the conclusion, I'm going to put all these pieces together and tell you why this moment for the Lions is perhaps the most symbolic in recent years. Look at the picture of where we are right now. Hard in our throats about Kirby Joseph, a wild debate about 70-yard field goals, hot rumors of $1 million secondary reinforcement, and even a UFL guy coming back to wear the Honolulu Blue. This isn't a coincidence. It's a sign that the Lions are at the center of the league. Those who lived through the tough years know we've never been this close to something huge. And for me, this is the season that can change our history. Comment below, this space is ours for those who breathe one pride, because the conversation has just started.